நிமிடம் தங்களை பற்றியும் அவர்கள் சொல்லிக் கொண்டால் மிக நல்லது என்பதையும் தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றேன். இப்பொழுது இதில் இருக்கக்கூடிய வரிசையின்படி முதலாவதாக பேச இருக்கின்றவர் அலெக்சாண்டர் டுவான்ஸ்கி என்பவர் ரஷ்ய நாட்டுக்காரர். அவர் மொழிநூலில் கற்றவர். லிங்குவிஸ்டிக்ஸுங்களா? இலக்கியம் கற்றவர். ஆகவே அவர் இப்பொழுது முதலாவதாக கட்டுரை படிப்பார் அல்லது பேசுவார், விளக்கிக் கொள்வார். யார் ஒருவரும் 20 நிமிடத்திற்கு மேல் எடுத்துக்கொள்ளக்கூடாது. ஏனென்றால் மொத்தம் அதில் 15 நிமிஷத்தில் பேச்சை முடித்துக் கொண்டால் அதை பற்றி கேட்கின்றவர்கள் ஏதாவது விளங்கிக் கொள்வதற்காக சில வினாக்களை விடுக்கலாம். ஆக அந்த சில வினாக்களோ தெளிவுகளோ ஏதோ சொல்லலாம். அப்படி இல்லையானாலும் அந்த கட்டுரை பிறகு அச்சேரி வரும் என்று கேள்விப்படுகிறேன். வந்தால் படித்து நம் கருத்தை தெரிவிக்கலாம். ஏனென்றால் அவரவர் கருத்தை தெரிவிப்பதற்கு அவரவர் நிலையில் அவரவர்கள் தெரிவிக்கின்ற கருத்திற்கு எந்த வகையான மாற்றங்களும் சொல்லுவதற்கும் ஒவ்வொருத்தருக்கும் உரிமை உண்டு. ஆகவே இப்பொழுது நான் அந்த முதல்வராக இருக்கக்கூடிய அலெக்சாண்டர் டுவான்ஸ்கியை பேசுமாறு அழைக்கின்றேன்.
Distinguished scholars, friends, students, teachers and students, is it Kekrada? No. See. This my talk on Silappadigaram is not devoted mostly to the comparative studies because, well, first of all, I actually didn't know in what section the presentation will be. But anyhow, I'm absolutely I absolutely agree to the point of view expressed just now that the comparative literature is a very important method of studying. And I can add that before comparing, we should properly study this or that piece of literature. And I will just express some ideas about the famous poem Silappadigaram. As the comparative method is concerned, then my comparison goes to close quarters, so to say, because apart from, say, Greek or English literature, I think that which is absolutely normal, and I read some papers on devoted to the comparison of Silappadigaram to some Western pieces of literature. For instance, respected Dr. Chelapan wrote some paper, and now we are going to listen to some papers in this respect. But apart from that, I think that what is very productive is to compare Silappadigaram with Sanskrit literature, and especially with the form of Mahakavya. And so I will express some ideas about that. Silappadigaram is without doubt one of the most outstanding pieces of Tamil literature. Its importance lies not only in its high poetical qualities, but also in some of its features which give it a unique place in Tamil literary history. The most important among them are: Silappadigaram is the first poem in Tamil which we can call narrative. It is based on a story, and a local story at that. Silappadigaram is the first Tamil poem in which the author tried to combine on a full scale Tamil and Indo-Aryan poetical traditions. And thirdly, Silappadigaram is a very complex piece of literature, and it presents many problems for scholars of different special disciplines: history, religious science, literary science, poetics, and so on. I would concentrate on three important problems, or rather a set of problems which haven't been exhaustively investigated to my mind so far, though there is no doubt Silappadigaram has always attracted the attention of scholars, which is obvious. First, there is a problem of the poem's contents. Perhaps it sounds strange, but actually we can ask so what this poem about. It's well known that the poem is based on a story about a couple, Kovalan and Kannahi, belonging to merchants class, who found themselves in a tragic collision resulted in the death of Kovalan, killed by the unjust order of the Pandyan king. Kannahi took a revenge and was about to burn up Madurai. Pandyan king perished and she transformed into a powerful goddess, Pattini, a deification of a chaste and devoted wife. The Chera king Senguttavan established the cult of Kannahi Pattini. In the poem itself, its events are explained by the law of karma, which can be understood as the predominant theme of the poem. For this purpose, several stories about heroes' previous births are given. For instance, in the 30th chapter. The main figure to demonstrate the irreversible action of the law is Kovalan. The results of his past actions are first mentioned in the end of the 9th chapter, and then they are repeatedly mentioned throughout the text up to the moment of Kovalan's death, when he fell dead on the ground because the fruit of his previous actions, Pandey Urvini, had ripened. The appearance of the theme of karma, which originated in the Indian north, in the Tamil poem that was composed around the 5th century Anno Domini, as suggested by Camillus Valuable, seems to be natural. The process of interaction of Tamil and Indo-Aryan cultures began long before the beginning of our era, and in the 4th and 3rd centuries before Christ it was steadily developing. From the time on, many Jaina and Buddhist monks came to the south to preach their doctrines, and a little bit later, judging by South Indian inscriptions, the influence of Brahmanas increased. Due to this influence, the inhabitants of the south got acquainted with the ideas and cults of Vedism and early Hinduism. Northern literary traditions also came to be known in the south, especially, we may presume, epic poems, Mahabharata and Ramayana. These poems were known to the authors of the early Tamil anthologies and poems, but on the whole we can safely state the indigenous Tamil poetical tradition was not much influenced by that of the north. In course of time, however, the interaction of the traditions brought about their blending and more or less organic synthesis, to which Silappadigaram is a convincing example. This time is the time when Jainas and Buddhists intensified their propaganda in the south, and the poem had reflected this process. One shouldn't forget that Ilango, the author of the poem, or the assumed author of the poem rather, was considered by the tradition as a Jaina monk. So it is not a mere chance that apart from outspoken propagandistic passages, the law of karma had been drawn into the poem from a Jaina ideological stock and was chosen as the main theme of the poem. However, everyone who is acquainted with Silappadigaram will agree that the law of karma doesn't constitute the main contents of the poem, and Kovalan is in no way its main hero. He is a passive figure, and his function is in the structure of the poem is to provide a possibility for Kannahi's activity. Kannahi is without doubt the main heroine of the poem, and it is her story that makes its main subject line. The story itself is doubtless an old one. According to Vayapuri Pillai, it is an old legend which existed long before Ilango. But the exact shape of this legend is not known to us. The act of plucking out of breast is mentioned in Sangam poetry twice. In Natrine 216, it is done by a woman standing under a Avvai tree. Yeri maral Avvai kadavul kakkum kuruhar turenin in idanatte angan, yedilan kavale kavat urmuli aruttattiruma unni.